Mid-Murray Council would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians, Nadjeri, Naywal, Nangaraku, Narkat, Ngarrindjeri and Paramount peoples of the Mid-Murray lands and waters. It is upon their ancestral lands and waters that the Mid-Murray Council meets and operates. The council pays respect to elders past and present and their spiritual beliefs are of continuing importance to those First Nations peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role that First Nations peoples continue to play within the community, and we extend that respect to any people that's on that here today.
Thank you. Okay, we know who's here. We're not sure whether one person's coming or not, so we'll leave that a little bit later on. We know the staff that are here. Confirmation of the minutes. Everybody read them? Everybody read them? Happy with them? All those in favour? Yeah.
I can move. Second.
Yeah. Moved. Peter seconded. And the absentee member is not here. That's good. Declaration of interest. Are there any? Okay. Now, do you want to go straight to the audit report?
Yeah,
I want to do the financials.
Through the chair, I thought we'd go through the audit management report first.
Yep. Okay.
And then the auditors can jump in, or then any questions can be asked directly to them.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Off you go.
Through the chair, thank you. I'd like to introduce 7.1, the audit management report for 2025. Bentley's conducted their field work as part of their final audit and reported one matter, being capitalisation of assets from WIP, and also provided an update on two matters mentioned previously, and they were excessive leave balances and overhead allocation. Bentley's further provided in their executive summary that they planned to issue unmodified, favourable audit opinions over the financial report and internal controls.
Good. Thank you. Any comments from members of the committee? Okay. There are two recommendations there. Is everybody comfortable with those? So I move that they be accepted. Seconder, Mandy. Thank you. All those in favour? Done. Right. Draft financial statements for last year.
Happy to introduce that as well, 7.2 through the chair. Operating surplus of 8.6 million, which was dominated by operating grants of $12 million. In previous year 24, there was 4.5, with a delta of about 7.5 million year on year, of which financial assistance grant was 2.8 million. That was received in advance. That's the 25/6 allocation received early. Disaster recovery funding of 3.2, which actually funded expenditure from previous years, and there appeared to be one-off grants of about 1.3. So those total 7.3 million of the increased 7.5 million of grants. Asset revals were at 77.7 million, and borrowings were 6.8 million, and previously, in the previous year, they were 9.7. Further to that, there was 8.8 million in the bank, and in the prior year, there was 415,000. At the conclusion of this meeting, I'll ask the presiding member and the CEO to sign the council certificate of Bentley's independence.
Yep. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Page 24, physical resources received free of charge, 1.876 million. What was that? In the system.
Just through the chair, that's assets free of charge, and that would be through various different subdivisions, which when the assets become under the control of council, then we recognise the value of that infrastructure, being roads, curbing, stormwater, etc., lighting.
Yeah. We sort of have a policy on making sure we're covering risk when we receive that sort of stuff.
through the chair, that would be on the approval of the developments. The standard of the infrastructure would be set at that stage.
And they've got asset management plans too, though.
Yeah, and so we would have a standard of like requirements as far as stormwater, and look at their engineering and ensure that it's the assets will be built to a suitable standard. And then so in between we actually either hold a bank guarantee, or we actually hold bonds, or a combination of the two. And then we don't actually accept them until we ensure that they are of that quality and standard. Yeah. And in some instances, we may waive them from doing certain items. It might be like not to do the footpaths because we know that a lot of houses are going to be built, so we might just take some cash instead of doing that. So it might be like $12,000 or $15,000 for footpaths, and once the majority of the houses go in, we'll put the footpaths in ourselves.
So just through the chair, so we have a process, but we're developing bonding policy to guide that process. So we do put things in place, but we'll have a policy to guide that.
I thought 1.8 is quite significant, so I don't want to be taking that on if then it's going to cost us a lot more in the long.
Well, we have it, the maintenance costs.
Yeah, yeah. The other question I had for audit committee is, I mean, it was the results are great, the excess grants is great, you can see the government cares about us now. One thing I noted was that we had rates general and others, so page 41, trade receivables is up to $3.3 million. So last year it was just under 3 million. It seems to be going up quite significantly. And when you look at it as a percentage of our rates, it's 16.5% that we still haven't collected. I went and looked at Murray Bridge Council. They collect nearly double the amount of rates and they only have 1.5. So they've got half the trade receivables. I'm just wondering, as an audit committee, should we be looking at our policies or how we deal with our trade receivables to make sure like we're preventing it get to that point rather than let it get to that 3.3 and then you're stuck? And we don't want to sell off people's properties. We're about to sell 9. We don't want to get to that point. I'd rather nip it in the bud really early. And I just wonder if our policies are good enough to be, nipping it in the bud early. If Murray Bridge have got twice the amount of rates, only half the amount of debt, it just doesn't quite make sense.
I think you've also got to look at the demographics, and the demographics of Mid Murray are the extremes. You've got those that are really struggling just to pay rates and taxes.
I think Murray Bridge is about the same socioeconomic.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Not anymore anyway. A lot more manufacturing there, a lot more employment there.
Yeah, so quite willing to look at that aspect and see what we can improve as far as our debt collection on rates. I suppose traditionally there's been a number of times when council has not collected rates, and that was during flood, during the COVID, and now a portion with the primary producers. So there has been a number of times where we've stopped and started. And I have been asked by our rates officer, when can I start again collection? So there has been a stop and start previously. So there is probably a matter of catching up from that, those times when we've allowed or not collected rates or had the activity of collection occur. So yeah.
Yes, that'd be fine.
Yes.
Just on that as well, we've talked at a previous meeting recently about being more proactive in the early stages of rates being owing. And I think we as a collective group strongly support that approach, despite it being time consuming. So it's a balance always. But yes, I'm aware that in 2013, council went through the same process. So there's been ups and downs, and I just think, fair enough, but this is, quite clear this way. From here, hopefully there'll be no disasters that demand our care and consideration. And we're not sure why people don't pay their rates, and I don't know that we can sort of get too many assumptions about that. really about why people don't unless we have time to look at that, and that would be incredibly time consuming to analyse on an individual basis why people don't. So I guess you just have to be firm until someone approaches you to say this is hardship based, and then obviously council looks at that. And I'm sure Murray have those same issues. So it is interesting that they have a much lower level of rates in meeting, much lower. And I don't know whether that's historical for them or whether they've had the same ups and downs as us.
One thing to do would be to look at the number of days that the rates have been outstanding for, and we just keep a summary of that. I mean, I don't know whether we've got that information.
We get
Yeah, we get that.
You do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the way you get that receivable down is just action earlier.
That's what I mean, our policy is good enough to start that action early
You're
to
gonna-
prevent
You're gonna have
it.
people screaming, you know, it's gonna happen.
Rather that than sell their houses.
But that's what we might have to do, to get it down.
Well, we're about to do that.
You know, but
So it might be more appropriate to do some benchmarking against like Broiler and some of the other riverlands and just see how we, we fare against those.
I mean, but probably the other thing is to focus on the bigger end of the debts rather than the sort of ruts and bumps, small things that, I mean, the policy would be interesting to look at the policy and see the action.
Yeah, listening to the discussion, I'm wondering whether it'd be a good idea to have a further report at the next meeting that sort of had a bit of better analyse, a better understanding going to the person who's on the phone to all these people, getting a bit more
I
colour.
reckon we had a discussion a few years ago on this very topic, and we looked at it, and I thought the policy was updated at that stage, so not how to go back and have a look at what that is.
Yeah.
Through the chair, we can just we can look at the policies, we can benchmark other councils, see what their procedures are and also what their rates get. As to Clive's point, it's similar, from a crime reduction perspective and socio-economic as well.
Yeah. So a bit of colour on who are the bigger ones and what are the issues that seem to be causing the slowness of payment, which may be unique to or may worth getting the comparisons you're sort of suggesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting that, an irrigator or someone, needs electricity. If they don't have electricity will probably get turned off. If you don't pay your rates, you'll get fines and interest on your council rates. Or if you don't, pay for spray, you won't get the spray. Or fertiliser, you won't get the fertiliser. So it's kind of like, well, we'll just get a sting from council because of the fines and interest, And look, some people have said, well, council's finance is not great finance, but if I can't get more money from the bank, they use that instance. So
I know some other regional councils too, the number, because of their demographics, the number of people died, and there's just not enough money left in the estate other than selling the property to meet their obligations.
Lots of us done that.
Peterborough in particular, one that came to light the other day. All right, any other questions? Yes?
Just a matter of detail on page 19 of the council reports. There's a table in the centre there where we have our long-term financial planning targets, and we've got a target of operating surplus ratio of minus 33%. And the adjusted operating surplus minus 9%. I'm not sure that we would ever have that sort of target.
So through the chair, they were the ranges that we had in our long-term financial plan, the extremes that we had in the future long-term financial year plan.
So it's not a target as such. It's not
Well,
something that we're aiming to go 43.
Well, in future years, that's the upper and lower limits, I suppose. Yeah.
Do we have targets as such? We council has targets. A
Um,
lot of council do.
So previously, council, I did actually have a look at where we actually adopted long-term financial plan. We had tolerances, like it might have been 2% plus or minus of the future projections. So that may be a better way to go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think most councils want to be in a range of sort of -1 and
2 or
5%.
5, yeah, and average
that sort of,
2 or something.
so
Yeah.
they're not overrated. I was wondering if that's a bit,
I think you're right,
This
the
needed
target
to
is
target.
about, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a long-term financial plan projection or something.
yeah. There's quite a bit of, there's a bit of talk about the flood mitigation and recovery work. I just wondered if we're happy that it's all operating and not capital. It was not capital money that's going to those categories.
Yes, so the accounting treatment is if you're reverting it back from a natural disaster, the guidance is that it's a repair.
Okay.
In reality, I think maybe some of our assets are definitely better than they were prior to the flood. So,
Yeah.
and that may come through possibly with the roads revaluation, which will occur 1st July 2026.
Perhaps that's a question for the auditors to answer in terms of their happy, presumably that the treatment's been correct in the accounts.
Well, they usually never worry about it if it's a conservative treatment, it's only if it's an optimistic treatment.
Yeah, no, that's right. But it's whether it's leading up in terms of how we. Perhaps we can ask the auditors when we have a
Yep.
session.
Any other questions in relation to the financial statements?
I just wondered, there's capital commitments due later than 1 year, 3.5 million. I just wondered what that would be for a council.
I haven't finished this through.
It's disclosed as 3.5 million dollars worth of.
You want to take that on notice, Clark?
Yeah, I can send the details of that, but there's no benchmark. It's I suppose capital commitments. It's contracts that council has committed themselves into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it seems a bit unusual for councils to be.
So
contracted more than 12 months in advance.
yeah, so one of those would be the resealing of our roads. So we would have done like a 3-year agreement.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Of that.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
So there's a program that goes out.
Yeah, from our long-term financial plans, I would say it's probably that the resealing would be,
That makes sense.
all of 80% of that, or if not more.
Okay. Last question. Now that we've done a revaluation of plant and equipment as at 1st July 2025. I just wondered if that's why we did that at 1st July. And whether that should be noted in the accounts, perhaps again, a big question to the auditors.
Yeah.
30th of June, in today's difference.
Yeah, through the chair, there was some modelling done by APV and also for the construction of a asset management plan. So because plant and equipment is like immaterial amount and it turns over reasonably quickly, you normally don't perform formal revaluations which go through the books. So my stance on it was the revaluation was done on that just to get some unit rates to go forward into the asset management plan and not to be a formal revaluation. But that's the practice.
As we got it in the paper, so it's down there as a revaluation.
I read that myself and thought, well, that's not. I'm not sure whether that was the intention of a revaluation or just to obtain unit rates of the plant and machinery that we actually have at the moment. So maybe probably not the correct words that have been communicated in the plan.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? I'll ask the auditors if they want to say. We do that.
Should we? Are we having a session?
We will after this section. I'll just giving the auditors the opportunity of making any other comments other than what we've already read in the reports that we've received. So,
Hi everyone. I mean, Clive and Paul have summarised our report well. The main issue was just, getting some procedures in place to know when projects or infrastructure spend had been completed and ready to be used and therefore depreciated. So the response we're happy with there. And in terms of some of those questions that have been raised around the accounting treatment, just over the last couple of years since the floods, we have sort of worked through with the management team about what's a renewal, what's a repair, what's an upgrade in those assets, and we're comfortable with how that's been treated over the years.
Okay, thank you. Any questions apart from the management one, which we'll ask for separately in a second, that any member of the committee wants to ask the auditors?
I noticed the annual leave issue has sort of been wiped off. It still has 50 staff, I think it was, that is over, and we've got a full-time equivalent of 90. I don't know how many we've actually got. So that isn't a concern for you anymore?
Well, we just put it as a prior year matter in terms of just monitoring it. And because there's a policy on it, it's just a matter of, keeping tabs on it in terms of how far over that 152 is, because I think 152 is 4 weeks. Some other councils have it sort of as a higher benchmark, maybe if it's more than 6 weeks. So it's probably prudent just to sort of get an update every 6 months or so in terms of how much individuals have accrued, because as we've said in the past in our management letters, there's a number of reasons for keeping it under control. One is to obviously make sure people have a decent break so they can work more effectively and safely, as well as, particularly if it's someone in sort of a management area or a finance area, that they sort of, not trying to cover up fraud or anything like that by not ever taking a break. And obviously there's the financial impact is that every time they get a pay rise, that gets extrapolated through their leave requirements. So I think it's just a matter of keeping it in check. Just keeping an eye on it.
It's a standard issue from most audit committees and auditors, and COVID didn't help.
I do think that maybe the 4 weeks is a bit of a low cut-off for the reporting, and I think as implied there in comments, so a lot of councils have 6 weeks. So maybe that's something we should look at, is if it's only your annual accrual that's still not taken, then that's not worrisome in my view. Once it gets a bit higher,
it's interesting when you look at the Banking Law Commission that APRA insists on people taking leave in the finance sector, and often they'll just be told, and irrespective of whether the banks can afford the resource being around. I had a fellow that was off for 1.5 years. I'm not even sure whether he was going to come back. And APRA will actually say to a bank X, that person is going on leave next week, and they're not coming back until the leave figure is down to something far more reasonable.
Yeah.
But that's banking finance.
And through the chair, so we use 250 for our general excessive balance. So we have 20 at the moment, or as of July 1, we have 20 that fit into that category. So that's around 6 weeks. So obviously you always need 150 to report on this.
All right, well, can management just give us a few minutes to chat?
Okay, thanks everyone.
So through the chair, Clive not back in here. There's my one. Wait for Clive.
Anytime the next half an hour.
I know, Clive. Just on behalf of council, David, to you in the firm for many, many years of good relationship and good service. We thank you for that, and obviously wish the firm all the best moving forward. So thank you on behalf of council.
Great. No, thanks, Ben. Thanks to the committee, and in particular, thanks to you and, of course, to Clive for working with you over the last 5 years. It's been great, and good to see Paul on board there as well now.
Thanks,
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Yes.
The minutes can note that questions were raised by members and adequately answered. And they didn't have anything to report other than complimentary about the staff management generally. And I'd also, whilst you were absent, thank David and his firm for his service. I've also got too much.
And through the chair, just acknowledge the work Clive specifically done with the transition of John retiring and Robin who helped us out and Paul starting. The shoulders were very, very tired from Clive because the burden did absolutely rely on him. So I'd like to, if we can, note that Clive's commitment and work towards this favourable result.
Makes your life easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah, thanks, Clive, for not sleeping in the last 5
Thanks.
months.
Oh, good hands. Right, so we've done 7.1, 7.2, 7.
No move in second, but 7.2.
I'll
Got
move.
the recommendations.
You want a second?
Can I just ask about the recommendations? I was a little bit sort of,
This for 7.2.
7.2, yes, yes. Item 4 in particular, I'm not sure why we would do that, I mean, the auditors are telling us that the accounts are present fairly the state of affairs of council. I'm not sure why we would tell them that.
Isn't there a requirement under the Act?
I don't think so,
So
not that I'm aware.
just for the chair, so for the CEO and the mayor to sign off, they're actually signing off the certification of financial statements. And the second dot point is the financial statements present a true and fair view of council's financial positions, a bit more of that. And the next one is internal controls implemented by council provide reasonable assurance that the council financial records are complete, accurate and reliable.
Right. So sorry, so that's to the auditors, we're saying that to the auditors.
You're saying that as part of the annual financial statements.
But the point says,
Oh,
the
sorry.
Audit and Risk Committee advised council's auditor that it has reviewed the draft. But why are we telling the auditor that we think they're,
It's part of our representation letter, isn't it? What?
And it'd be part of the board management letter, which is signed off by the CEO and myself.
Right. But the representation letter tells the auditors what they want, what they need to hear. I'm just not sure that we. Anyway, I've not seen that anywhere else previously. So.
So the way it's worded, I suppose, rather than, the way I've read it there, that, maybe it should read the Audit Risk Committee,
has reviewed.
has reviewed the draft annual financial statements of the council for the financial year 30th of June
Yeah,
and is satisfied with the present
Yeah.
Yeah.
presently
They're
fair
not advising the auditor.
and statement of
yeah.
affairs of
I think
council.
that's
So
right.
you could take it out,
I think that.
because it's nearly like past tense.
Yes.
As far as the
Yeah.
board is concerned,
Yeah.
So we're taking
Okay.
out 5 words,
Okay.
advise council the auditor that hit.
Yeah,
That is,
So it reads, the Audit Risk Committee
Has
has reviewed.
just take that it out.
No, this has advised
Advised
council's
council's
auditor that. 5 words.
I'll move that amendment.
and sorry, item 3 is just a statement. It's not really anything that. I just had difficulty. It's a statement of internal controls implemented by council. It doesn't say what we are saying about that.
Does that need the audit committee advise in front of internal controls?
So the 3, we're talking about, sorry, or 2?
Yeah,
Three.
Point three.
3. So it's just a statement of fact. It's not anything that the audit committee is saying.
If you didn't think
Chair,
it was
the intention
that,
is
you
that-
wouldn't want to pass it, would you?
But we could add
True.
risk.
True.
And don't you have to sign off separately, Ben, the internal controls?
Yeah, I'll provide a statement in the annual report.
Yeah.
So I think, through the chair, you could add the audit and risk committee.
Yeah.
That the,
Yeah, I think that would work better. Thank you. That's fair. Yeah.
So I'll move the amendments.
Yeah.
Second,
I'll second
right.
those, yeah.
All those in favour of the amendments?
Helen?
You got something?
All those in favour of the amendments? Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a,
You got
I
another
wanted
one?
to ask about, is that going to be allowed?
No, no, we'll wait. You ask what you need to ask.
So, I've been looking for this note I had on here and I misread it as, note 14, when it should be 1.4 in the, part one of the basis of preparation. So that's on page, 8 or 29 of the, it's 1.4 estimates and assumptions. I'm not sure if I'm misreading this, but it says, it talks about the Murray event having some influences, and then in the second sentence it says it is expected further financial impacts will flow into the 24-25 financial year.
Good pick up.
25, 26. Yeah.
And no pun intended.
yeah, flow. I think Clive and I commented on that, Dan.
All right, so
Okay. So
that's
that's
the third amendment. Sorry, any other recommended amendments? There being none, all those in favour of those recommended, sorry, those amendments being approved? Okay, thank you. Then back to the four matters. I'll move that they be adopted as amended. I have a seconder for that. Thank you, Peter.
Yep.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Right. Good. Let's get on to 7.3. Is there anything further to this? Ready to go through it all again, aren't we?
So we'll just give a overview. So the council is required to review the financial results of each financial year. So basically, and this the comparison is to the adopted budget compared to the actual results, not the current budget. And that's basically due to the purpose of saying that, council raised rates for a certain purpose, like a bypass around a certain town, and in the end they may instead rebuild a new civic centre. So it's just to keep track of the council to ensure that the original adoption of rates and the purpose of the budget isn't distorted partway through. So basically, once again, operating income exceeded the original budget by $8.4 million or 28%. In all of the 8 income classifications, income exceeded the original budget. Net expenditure decreased by 0.7 million or 2%. In savings in employees and financial costs, but depreciation and materials and contractual and other expenses were exceeded. So basically, returned a operating surplus of 8.143 million. Normalised that was brought back down to lower amount of 1.749. Council's balance sheet has improved during 2024-25 with reduced borrowings. But obviously, there's substantial work in progress and carried forward works which will have an impact in the new financial year, which we'll talk about in the next report.
Good. Thank you. Any questions?
Just more a general comment about the report. The carry forwards are obviously quite a big issue in terms of what's coming in and what's going. And I got a little bit confused in terms of what was being brought forward from 23, 24, and what was being carried forward to 25, 26. And I'm sure everything's fine, but it was just as if we could tidy that up in future reports, it would just be a lot clearer in terms of, because we call them all carry forwards.
Yep.
And in some cases, it was a little bit confusing to me. But I just wondered with carry forwards whether council needs to draw a line, if you like, and at some point say, well, let's catch up, because it seems to be becoming a big issue, and that we're never going to achieve what we say we're going to achieve in a particular year, because we've got carry forwards coming forward the whole time. It just seems to be getting bigger and bigger.
Yep. So probably two comments for the chair.
Yeah.
Quite typical for a lot of councillors to bring carry forwards amounts.
Yes,
And I would say the main reason for the carry forwards is the disruption of probably the floods and COVID that we've had previously,
Yeah.
and also grants. So council goes and gets a grant.
Yeah.
So that's for the resealing of Murraylands. So what do? Our construction crew, which normally does unsealed, they do the base for the sealing of Murraylands Road, because as everyone knows, the base is the most important thing. If you don't have a good base, so a lot of times we don't trust that part of the construction to contractors. So that's the majority of it. If we hadn't done all our grant work,
Yeah.
but I would say that would be pretty close. And I've got to say that getting better every year, that amount is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
It's
So,
it's coming down.
yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you.
The other questions? So,
Could you getting more money from the government on the flood recovery and more than you expected, is that right, and insurance?
Yes, it's been more. We've budgeted conservatively, and we're still budgeting conservatively in this current financial year,
Yep.
mainly because we're kind of getting towards. There's still 2 acquittals from for claims for basically what would be 12 months ago, and now we're doing the open space and recreational flood remediation, which is normally not provided under disaster recovery. We're quite lucky in that, and I think part of
Lucky, we worked hard.
we did work hard,
Advocated
Good
strongly.
advocacy.
Yeah.
and it may have been good timing that the federal government's had too much money and they were trying to get money at that particular time as well. So they may have provided a little bit of extra money for that. So
They see mid-Murray, finally.
and look, every time I see the mayor in the media, I say that has been helping our cause. Always put the pressure on them.
Very good.
okay, any more questions? There being none, the recommendation is in 2 parts at the top of page 67. You move, I'll second. All those in favour? Okay. 7.4.
Through the chair, 7.4 budget review. The summary of the amendments are operational income increases by 2.9, operational expenditure also increases by 3.0. There's been $100,000 net detrimental effect to the profit and loss. Capital expenditure increases by 4.2, capital income increases by 847,000, and borrowings decrease by 3.4 million. Are a summary of the adjustments.
Yeah. Any questions?
I noticed that we're not proposing any revaluations in the paper, but we should be talking in all the reports about indexation being required on an annual basis.
So through the chair, there's no group of assets which are due for revaluation in the current financial year, but we will increase as we have done last financial year each asset class by CPI ending the year 30th June.
Which will impact depreciation.
Yeah, which will increase depreciation. So previously And in previous long-term financial plans, we weren't doing that, but I was incrementing depreciation in the long-term financial plan. So, which I suppose, it just makes it a lot easier and flows through.
What's buffer as well?
Yeah. So then we don't have such a jolt or financial issue when all of a sudden one of our larger asset groups, such as roads, gets revalued. In my experience, there's a number of councils which have fallen into that trap.
Speaking through the chair, a colleague, and that's exactly what they're going through at the moment, where there's a significant increase in depreciation because of there wasn't indexation or
Correct, yeah,
wasn't a buffer.
yeah, no, that's right, it's what it's good to do.
Just through the chair, even though we've got more carried forwards, the reason why I wanted to decrease was because of that amount of $8 million of cash, which have offset that. So basically about half of that.
I mean, it's fortuitous, isn't it? You'd expect the operating result in 25-26 to be much worse because you received all that money beyond 24-25. It's not working out that way. So
It's because he had so much cash at the start,
that's
to offset that.
Yeah.
The incremental carried forwards of capital X.
Okay. Cool.
Ed, did you have any?
I think I noticed that the depreciation has been revised in this review, based on the valuations from last year.
That was a correction of $656,000 increase.
Yeah.
All right.
Fine.
Thank you.
Happy.
There being no further questions, I move the recommendations of the three of them at the bottom of page 79. Mandy, do you want to second these recommendations? Thank you. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Right, 7.5.
Through the chair, progress on audit items raised during the interim and the final audits. Bentley's interim audit in June reported 6 internal control matters, and their final audit raised 1 financial statement matter and addressed 3 previously reported matters.
Good, thank you. Questions? Yes.
Page 100 talks about procurement and purchasing. And I know that it's outstanding and that you're looking at some things. I just had some discussions in the shopping centre the other day with a couple of users of Synergy, just saying that it's very outdated, blah, blah, blah. Is it something that we should be looking at? Did you use Synergy or use something else? You know, like, should we be sticking with something if it is so outdated and that's causing us issues, or should we be trying to bite the bullet maybe June next year when time runs away? I know it's a big project.
Yep, so through the chair, Synergy Soft and IT Vision. IT Vision has been taken over by Reditech, a company that now supplies over 50% of all local government software. They have got another generation of software. To this stage, council has been very reserved financially to look at that, but as said in the report there, we are, if our software was a vehicle, we would be able to take on the day to Birdwood because it's vintage, basically.
Yeah.
So the Reditech account manager was due to see us about 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, he had an accident and a concussion, couldn't drive up to see us. So he's coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we're looking at what we can do with as far as just taking up some of the modules. So along with a lot of other councils are now moving on to the next generation. So yeah.
I think it sounds like the efficiencies that could be made just based on having it would be worthwhile to spend some money.
So what we're looking at is, if you would have asked the auditors, they would have said that the best control you can have is a system control, so then it doesn't worry about segregation of duties, doesn't worry about collusion. The system looks after itself. So that's, totally agree. We need to start investing in our IT.
What sort of budget would you contemplate?
With their, I know they've got a couple, they've got like a Roll Gold one, which looks after contract management, etc. And then they've got another version as well, which doesn't have all those bells and whistles. But look, you know, you're probably looking at purchasing, which will probably allow purchasing with, and you know, be able to obtain a purchase order through your mobile phone, etc. And you know, you may be looking at, you know, around the $50,000 to implement it, and probably the first year of support.
No,
No, it
that's
doesn't.
not.
Yeah, like when you think of the risk that you could actually have, it's a small investment. Yeah.
So, Chair, what I would say is that sort of there's an opportunity to look at the system as a whole, not even just a couple of modules, Clive, and then set that back and have a discussion on it.
So we've done a business case just even looking at the software, so of payroll, and it'll pay back in about 3 years. Yeah. And
the frustration, like the frustration from these staff, and one didn't work for us, was that it's wasting so much of their time.
Productivity.
Away, yeah.
So there's a system control, there's a manual control that, so we have a process that tells people that,
yep. So we've got a policy. We've got a policy which says here's thresholds what you need to do with different thresholds.
Yeah.
And my understanding is, you know, the next generation they're purchasing will actually just drive the policy.
Yeah.
So you actually program the policy, just like the payroll now with the payroll system. You actually program your EB and rewards into it, so you don't have someone saying, "Oh, now they work 2.5 hours on, you know, a Sunday morning and 3.5 hours on Saturday. You know what penalty rates have got, not you know." So basically, everyone's saying, "Oh, we've got AI in our system. It's better programming." Yeah.
but I just wonder if on the procurement issue with management response, whether we should note that we reinforce the manual process, if you like. So
That's right. Yeah.
You're
So
right. I mean,
so we've got manual controls we're retrospectively looking at.
yeah, I just wonder if we should say so in the manual response, so that for completeness, that we've got it in there, that we're not just relying on the system because the system doesn't work properly, but we can reinforce the staff that we expect.
Have you already done the representation, but
We have done that. That's been sent.
so effectively once they've signed it, good night. Talk to them.
It's I think it's more of us to continue on this and for us to report to the audit committee on the progress of that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I move the recommendation in the middle of page 99. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Simone. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Right. Risk management.
Through the chair, if I may, our policy and procedure and our framework is current. Mutual liability scheme have provided an updated document out. So once we will review our current documents to align to the new documents. The major change in the new documents is your risk tolerance and risk appetite statements. It's a lot clearer, and they've changed a few categories and things like that. So we'll be working through that. Our risk working group is currently on hold at the moment till we review our terms of reference, but we're still working through our business process assessments and going to commence our operational risk assessments in early next year. So we're still moving along in that space.
Good, thank you. Questions? Okay, I move that the update report be received. Thank you, Peter. Seconded it. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Right. 7.7.
Yep, just through the chair, just giving an update of the review of the council's internal control framework, and basically the items that we're focusing on is progress in the work PHY with us mapping, which had the workshop at after the last audit committee meeting. In June 2025, we reviewed better practice model into alternative financial controls, and we'll come back with a report of any high risks that we performed on that review. We'll continue doing the review of the business continuity plan and emergency management plan as previously, ensure that we've risk management policies and our systems adequate and effective, and still have progressive compliance with local government scheme, and their audit is really based on risk evaluation and management. And we'll continue to maintain our policy and procedure register, review any issues that are raised by the external auditors, and ensure that the Audit and Risk Committee satisfy the requirements of their terms of reference and legislation.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. On that basis, I move the recommendation in the middle of page 107. Thank you, Peter, for seconding. Having much fun for the discussion. All those in favour? Thank you. 7.8.
7.8 through the Chair, Finance and Risk Policies Review. There is a suite of 17 policies with review dates ranging from 356 days to 1,329 days. The next review due is for records management policy, and it's due in 356 days on the 1st of November next year.
Miles away.
Well done.
Any questions in relation to that report?
So as you can see, lots of green.
Yes.
Well, I should go. All right, I know the recommendation that the report be received. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Right. 7.9.
As
David Hassett and Glenn online.
Right.
Good afternoon.
we can't see you, but we can hear the oracle.
Would you like to see me?
Yes.
Mayor would like to see you.
Good afternoon. Through the
And
chair.
Dave is online, sorry, it's for the two Dave's there as well.
Dave, show your face.
Yes, I'm trying.
Mhm.
Go Glenn.
Yeah, through the chair. We have a comprehensive plant equipment and light fleet asset management plan that's being created, reviewed, and it's quite comprehensive to the previous document. From this findings, there's 204 items of plant equipment and light fleet. It created a 15-year capital works replacement program as well in Appendix 1 of the document. It talks about service levels in regards to maintenance and servicing and who's responsible and the appropriate recording of the servicing as well. Having affixed plant numbers to the equipment for easy and visual display on the plant equipment items. We've also looked at the dollars versus the long-term financial plan, and over the 10 years, we're looking at $16 million for replacement, being capital and new in only this financial year, 25-26, versus the long-term financial plan. I think it was around the 24% reduction. All these prices that have been filtered into the spreadsheets came from the suppliers for replacement and also from Pickles, as well as suppliers for trade values. So I'm quite comfortable with the figures that were provided to come up with the costs over the life of the plan. And also, did you want to talk, Dave, about the new initiatives for this financial year, being new and upgrades?
Yes, through the chair, we've done some consultation with the outside staff and also industry. And obviously looking at industry do dictate a fair bit of efficiencies and savings. So what we're looking at doing is revamp the asset management plan forecast rather than like for like. It's also looking at the opportunities that we can increase our bulk haulage through different configurations. Looking at less reliance on contractual services by the type of diverse plant we're looking at bringing in, and just the application of how we apply our plant and equipment to meet WHS requirements. Just for like is getting rid of the quad bikes and having gators or something on those lines where it reduces the risk of accidents and so forth. So we've reviewed what our forecast would be and looking at how we would then apply our operations to seek better efficiencies in all our operations and achieve better construction and maintenance on our road network long term.
Thank you.
Mm.
Questions? Peter?
Um,
Not Mandy, sorry.
Through the chest, yeah. Just under the community engagement plan on page 210, there's a question that says, can the community influence the outcome? And no has been ticked. For the engagement plan? Is that just a mistake?
No, through the chair, my computer's frozen. I can't get to that bit. But I suppose what we're looking at doing is obviously undergoing the public consultation process. But what we're looking at doing is it's an activity overview, and I suppose that report will come back to council through the consultation process.
Hmm.
Does that answer your question?
I'll leave it with you, Dave, if you want to just note that it might just be the yes needs to be ticked, but because we are doing community engagement, so.
Yeah.
Yes, we would.
Engaging.
Peter, did you?
The outcome.
Yeah.
It was a great report. It's good to see all this work happening. I just wanted to know if I had trouble following the figures on pages 116 and 117. Is on 117 it talks about the projected 10-year total expenditure at $38 million, equating to an annual cost of 3.8. Is that derived from the figures above? Because I couldn't work out how you came to that figure.
Well, it's not just me.
Okay, through the chair. Sorry, Peter, which one was that? I'm just looking at it now. What page? Sorry.
117.
Yeah.
Okay, 117. That's the total cost of capital, new maintenance and operations over the 10 years. That's today's dollars. That is not indexed as of August 2025. So that's a combined total to operate and run the plant machinery fleet.
Yeah.
The previous ones were just purchases. So
Yes.
the
Yes.
previous were just purchases or net purchases. Yeah.
Which was 16 million.
So you've got from 116 are just the purchases of the capital or the net purchase of the capital.
Where 16 million.
117 is the purchases plus the running costs, fuel, repairs, maintenance.
Yes.
Okay. So that the 16 million, the renewal expenditure, is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
Yes.
That doesn't have any indexation on it, I understand that. And the second figure renewal is 20 million.
Yes.
What's the difference between those?
Why did we decide to compare unindexed figures with indexed figures when we have the unindexed figures, if we wanted to compare like for like?
The amounts in the long-term financial plan have been indexed from the last time the asset management plan was done, which was approximately about 5 to 7 years ago. So we can resync those. I think that we need to do in the final one. We need to resync them to say, and I think all asset management plans we normally say non-indexed because we, you know, in 2 or 3 years' time,
Real numbers,
CPI could be double or treble
Correct.
or half. So I think I will be able to, with that, the 20.9 million or 21 million, I need to convert that to the timing of this report, which will be in this year. Yeah.
Because I think it's a little bit misleading to
It
say
is.
that we're $5 million under what's in the long-term
With
financial plan. when
one's index.
We're comparing different numbers. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Bill.
No, that's.
Just from Chesapeake, yeah, so the figures on page 117, that
Yeah.
they include maintenance operation.
Yeah.
Whereas the figures on 116 are just the costs. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Sorry. On page 144, there's a bit of a, let me get there. There's a bit of a conflict because we talk about the indexation. The 10-year plan says this figure does not account for annual indexation. I think it does account for annual indexation.
It does.
Yeah.
The report was updated, but the draft plan wasn't.
Yeah.
If we could just note that page 144 reflects the wording in the report.
As per the report.
Yeah. And I was trying to page 158. I'm trying to get to the numbers. So 58 and 59. There's a figure there for the rate of annual asset consumption, which is 1.28%. But that seems to be the depreciation divided by the replacement cost, not depreciation divided by replacement amount. I think it comes out to about 5% if we include the nominator. And it goes on to say the rate of annual asset upgrade, new capital upgrade, is 0.647%, whereas underneath that it says 6.47% there. You see those numbers?
Yeah. I think they're.
And probably further to that is yeah, I think it is. And in the financial year, council plans to renew capital assets at 13.78%. Above that, it says 8.04%. So those numbers, I think, need to be looked at and just sort of.
Yeah, I can have a look at those. The renewal capital. Yeah, renewal capital is 30%. Consumer will be increasing its asset stock by 6.47%. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And the annual rate of depreciation asset consumption 1.28%. That is on average. They last 78 years.
Pretty low, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it needs to increase closer to 5%, I think 5.6.
So it's the paragraph on the top of page 158, but 150.
It's 150, yeah.
159.
Spills onto 159, yeah. Yeah, that sort of section there just needs to be looked at, I think, and the numbers revised.
Through G on that, Glenn, to review that section.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. So the asset replacements, yep, we have that, the accumulated depreciation. So it's current replacement costs less fair value and the fair value amount and the forecast annual depreciation per annum.
So last question. So the fair value amount is 4.581 million as per page 158. The amount in the accounts is 5442, does that mean we're going to write off 861,000 in 2005 or 6? 25, 6, sorry, 25, 26?
Well, not to my knowledge, no. Yeah, the asset management plan says it has got a reduction, but how much that will reduce on index. So we basically needed to me, I think I needed the calculation bringing thing back up and index, and then you'll have a comparison. So that the 20 million versus the 16 point whatever it was, then I think it's better. But some of the percentages I don't see the value in the calculation. I'd rather see things such as in an asset management plan, the forecasts of as new, to see what condition the assets are maintaining throughout the year, whether it's 60% of new, what we're running of our fleet. Some of the other calculations here are from IPRA's books, which don't say much to them. Don't give information to the user, I don't think. So maybe we'll bring it back down to some more useful figures.
Yeah, it's just fair value. If we're saying fair value is 4.5, 4.69, then
that's a current written down value.
Well, it's not written down, but it's 5.4.
Oh, that's from note 7.
Yeah.
Don't get rid of that.
And the other thing I was wondering, with the purchase of plant and equipment, it's obviously going to be quite lumpy. So to bring it back to a $1.6 million probably down the book figure, wasn't it? Seems to me a bit odd, because you would have a program presumably of saying when you're going to replace your plant, which will give you actual more solid figures in terms of the next 10 years. You would know pretty much when you're planning to replace the plant, rather than coming back to a broad-based number divided by 10.
And at the moment, we've got quite a material backlog of plant equipment. And what Dave was talking about was one of the reason of that has been that we've got side tippers at the moment. So we're looking at side tipper road trains, basically. So converting those. So there has been a big pullback or delay on those. So So going forward, so previously we were very unfinancial. I was very I'd put pressure on people doing the asset management plan, saying, sorry, that's just too lumpy. You've got to even that out, or I'll just even it out like I did with buildings. So so
it's hard to even out those if you find big road trains.
Well, there's going to be an efficiency of that, and I think when Dave has done some previous jobs and we've had our workers carting alongside road trains, it was obvious that there could be productivity gains for us if we put the investment in here.
Okay.
And sorry, I'll through the chair, so you can look at potentially not smoothing out, but looking at the phasing. That's been
I think that's right. I mean, it's a key part of the asset management plan, isn't it? In terms of when we're going to replace these things.
And a long-term financial plan.
Super.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Just through the chair, Dave answered a little bit of mine, talking about efficiencies, but do we feel really comfortable that that's as good as we can go? Like, elected members get a lot of, there's 5 cars sitting in the car park, and as you know, I don't use the mayor car, doesn't need to be a mayor car, it's going to be a full car. We changed the policy so that we no longer need that. Do you feel like we've made enough efficiencies? I'm looking at the ESCOSA report, and there's a few little places where I see this fitting in, and this is a good one, I guess, to, make sure we get it right.
Through the chair, yes, I suppose we're always reviewing where we're at. We have actually disposed of other vehicles, and we've through Glenn's process, he's looked at an audit of what we've got and what we can actually sell. There's a lot of minor plant which is still sitting around, which we can actually not utilise as much, or it's outdated. So we are looking at going through and divesting that. Looking at the other opportunities in, I suppose, in the heavy fleet is the better opportunity was, as Clive said, with a road train that frees up a prime mover, then I can put that on a road maintenance. So there'll be better efficiencies in the way, I suppose, what our core services are. That's where our focus has been, reviewed to, and that's what we're trying to aim at. But we're always looking at our light plant fleet as well, and just seeing exactly whether we can make more efficiencies in those.
Okay, any other questions? All right, the recommendation for 7.9 is at the top of page 113. I move those three. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Peter. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Great, thank you. Full cost attribution.
Through the chair, we've had several reports previously. This report is basically closing out and just stating that FCA was implemented. Implementation has now been completed. We raised on ledger entries for the 2024-25 year, and we've now have those also on 25-26, basically on a monthly basis. So the only other thing that we'll have is just an annual review on the drivers. That will be reviewed each year prior to the adoption of the new annual budget. So, and part of that whole project was the adoption of the full cost attribution policy, which was adopted by council in June 2025.
Thank you. Questions?
Thanks, Mr. Happy.
Take another one off the list.
Yep.
Right, recommendations in the middle of page 220. I move it. Simone's seconding it. Thank you. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Thank you. Public interest disclosure update.
Yeah, and just for the chair, I will take on this one. Just to say that the procedure was reviewed at council meeting on the 21st March 2023. No significant change has been made since commencement of the Public Interest Disclosure Act 2018. Council has taken steps to ensure that employees are kept informed of the obligation of the Act through the implementation of the procedure, principally of any new employee employment. They're informed about the procedure during the induction, and the acting ICAP Commissioner wrote to the CEO on the 2nd of October 2024 requesting the procedure be reviewed to ensure compliance with applicable legislation, directions and guidelines. The review was undertaken and the procedure determined to be compliant.
Questions? Okay, I move the recommendation in the middle of page 222. Seconded. Thank you, Mandy. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favour? Council reports.
Through the chair, awareness of council reports. Decisions on the three most recent council meetings are disclosed, they being the 19th of August, 16th of September, and the 21st of October.
Very helpful for those of us that don't sit on council. Just in relation to page 226, further external funding for flood remediation. We were having a chat before the commencement of the meeting. You said there's still some funds likely to be flowing through to be done.
Yep. So through the chair, there's been additional funds which will occur once, and they've been budgeted in the September budget review, and that's for previous disaster and also open space. There could be a little bit of an issue with the amount of labour we've claimed. What we've done, well, first of all, a lot of the evidence they've been looking for pre and post photos, and that made it really hard when they were first of all saying it's a high water event, not a flood, and then you won't get money for open space, and then it was a flood, and then they said yes, we'll give you money for open space. So,
If.
so retrospectively, it's a bit hard to take photos. And so what approach we've done is we took actually the open space maintenance guys took a photo of all the items which were deinstalled and then later reinstalled. So then on that basis, we've set up a schedule of labour of travelling and time it would have taken. So that's what I'm going to submit for those. So, and obviously, because they didn't say that we could claim for open space, I didn't open up accounts for disaster recovery. All the costs just went to our normal open space, but I demonstrate that basically our salaries and wages doubled. Salaries and wages and agency doubled on the post. So I have discounted by, I think, about 25%, just in case we might have some pushback on that.
Through the chair, because we have to contribute 25% to the funding stream of Climate Variant
as well. Yeah.
So we've used those figures to justify our 25% expenditure to maximise the 75% that we get.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Middle of 224, I move that the Rennes Council report be received. Seconder, thank you, Mayor. There'd be no further discussion. All those in favour? Right. Status of our work program.
Through the chair, there are a total of 61 tasks phased over February, May, August and November, with 16 for review in this November Audit and Risk Committee meeting.
Thank you. Any questions, observations, comments? Last chance.
No, nothing solid.
There be none. All right, I move the recommendation in the middle of page 240. Peter, Mandy, whatever. Thank you. Everyone's very keen to get their names in the minutes. All those in favour? Thank you. Other business. I'd like to start off if that's all right. I did have a meeting with Andrew Plummer, who's the chair of the votes. He just wanted to tell me, as chair of the audit committee, what the challenges were with that committee, the issue of volunteers, the issue of the structure. He's obviously been talking to Robert O'Callaghan in relation to it. So I haven't heard anything further since we had coffee, and he explained to me how that process works. All I'm aware of is that it's, well, his view, there was, sorry, in Robert's view, 2 of the boats are pretty much close to self-funding with the volunteers, but the 3rd boat doesn't have any capacity to generate significant revenue for its maintenance costs. So when he gets back to me and provides me with some further detail, I'll report back to the following committee meeting. And this morning for 3 hours, I was online with the local government authority training division, along with a heap of other chairs of councils in South Australia. They had quite an extensive program with several centres. Unfortunately, not being there, I didn't get a copy of what was on the screen, but I've asked for a copy of that, as well as a list of attendees, and I've taken some extensive notes. I'll make a time with Clive and sit down and provide these guys with the notes and just go through what matters I think would be relevant for this council.
Anything for the committee that we might?
Well, I'll go through it with Clive, and then we might even just do a paper for the next committee meeting.
So is this specifically for audit committees, or was it?
Chairs.
Only
the chairs of the audit committees.
Yeah, but I mean, it's related to the audit committee, not.
Yep.
Or the council.
No, just audit committee and the role the chairs have and what we should be doing that we may not be doing. So it was, when I saw it, I thought, yes, I better do it. And then I thought, I'll do it, but probably got other things to do as well. But it was really outstanding. I thought it was first class. So I provided them with that feedback, and if we get a formal survey, I'll do it again.
Do you think they should be doing something for audit committee members as well?
Yeah, so they started with the chair, and subject to the feedback, they're going to do it annually, and then they'll do it for all committee members as well. There was a lot of mention of elected members not being overly well qualified to sit on audit committees. That's not saying that we shouldn't have, it shouldn't happen. It's just that, you know, you don't necessarily have all of the skill sets, but that's why we have 3 and 3, 2 and 3. But it was good session. So I'll go through it with these guys and then we might join in and do a paper so we can highlight the recommendations they've made. There are a couple of things that we don't do that they're suggesting we look at. Nothing serious, but we're not going to take it on board. Sure.
And to add through yourself, it's really good that your feedback was it was really worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely.
Because my initial response would have been it wouldn't have been. So to hear that it was, and then to Bailey's point, that then if that training is of quality, then it's going to benefit the independents. We wouldn't want to put independents to sit through
Not
it.
just independents, but elected member
Yeah,
audit committee members.
absolutely. We wouldn't want
So they
to
understand.
put people through training if it wasn't going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
So if you hear it was quality, then that's brilliant.
Yeah, they opened up about the problems they'd had, well, the Auditor General opened up about the problems that he'd had with Cooper Pedy Council, which was a referral from the Treasurer. They also talked about challenges at other councils. Some were named, like Burnside, others weren't. So it was fascinating. And the open forum section at the end where a whole lot of questions were asked from the floor. Yeah, it was first class. I don't know whether they taped it. If they did, it would certainly be worthwhile looking at it.
So quite often there's sections they will give you a link, so you may get a link to the recording in the next 24 hours, 48 hours.
We do make it possible.
Yeah, I'd love to
It's
see.
Just out of interest, how many chairs are there of?
Well, there's 69 councils,
Yeah.
68, 69 councils. I think there was about half were attending today. And the comment was made they didn't expect the numbers to be as strong as they were. And I think it was about, I couldn't see the number of participants physically, but I could see the number of participants online. And I reckon there were about 20 of us.
I was meant to be there for more than I was here instead.
Well, yeah, I couldn't get down from walk
Yeah.
there, then get back in time. So,
Any mayors?
no, only chairs.
Yeah, no, but I've seen mayors being the chairs.
Oh, well, I don't know who
No.
I don't know who was present physically, so I couldn't tell. Some of them did when they asked some questions, introduced themselves, and there were a couple that had more than one chair and more than one council responsibility. Any other business?
Can I ask, on your
Yes.
first point, the tourism operations, do you
Yeah.
think that it's relevant for a report to come back to audit committee?
When I get it, I will.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, does the staff need to do a report?
Yeah, well, I think let's see what transpires from this process. And I think I reported to you, having had lunch with Pam and Robert at one stage, they were talking about having a different form of structure. And I've just raised with them challenges with insurance and the like.
And they propose feedback through our consultation process, so Rockford and Robert and Pam individually, as well as the business have provided feedback.
Got your session. Any other business? Mandy, any other business? Ben?
No, thank you.
Peter, no? Oh, no? All right, as this is the last meeting of this calendar year, I want to pass on my best wishes that everyone has a very pleasant Christmas break with their families and look forward to seeing you in the new year. I did get a request about some dates for next year, but there's one that I'll be overseas, and I think you're suggesting you can't change that one in May.
No, that was because of the timing of because of preparation of the budget review and then the timing of the council. Yeah, it's well, there's no movement. Unless you give me the earliest possible. Did you give me the earliest possible date or?
I haven't actually booked it yet.
Okay. Yeah.
It's from about the 7th or 8th of May through to the 8th or 9th of June.
I heard a rumour that elections may be postponed if COP goes ahead in Adelaide in November. So
Really?
COP.
Council elections.
Wow.
No, that's just a rumour, but is it COP 20 or COP 21 or something
Yeah,
like that? That's,
30.
31.
30, right, close. Yeah, if the government goes ahead, the council elections may be postponed.
But when are they ever going to find out? Like, the date keeps getting.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and
It'll
then,
be in
like,
bond.
just given the significance and the size of this,
Yes,
I don't know how they're going to deliver it.
yeah.
They've got to get Turkey on side, haven't they? There was the opposing city that wanted
Yeah, well,
it.
they're going to make a decision in Brazil or something.
But in accommodation, we've got something like 7,000 hotel rooms and they want 30,000.
Yeah.
Oh,
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Yeah, people,
Okay, good, they can come.
everyone's going on, sorry, too close to each other.
On that basis, I declare the meeting closed at 3:28 PM. Thank you for your afternoon.